Before Sue comes and speaks to us, Evan, you can put that's great, thank you. We've been going through a series a few weeks ago now, started, and the series is called Seeking God Together. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had a bit of a break due to having Remembrance Sunday and Light Party Sunday and all sorts of things. So we're coming back into this series, Seeking God Together. We've gone through 4 topics: what it means to seek God, what it means to seek the life that God gives, and the doorway to repentance and the desires of the heart. And we go to a 5th topic today. And you may have followed in life groups or on your own the notes that accompany the talks each Sunday in this series. They're in the yellow pieces of paper, and they're at the entrances to the church, both ways. So pick up the notes from today if you're able as well. Thank you.
The reading this morning is from Matthew 14, verses 22 to 36. Jesus walks on the water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. During the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched him were healed.
Thank you, Sue, for reading God's word to us, and thank you, Mark, for leading us in prayers of intercession too. And thank you to the band for leading us this morning in worship. What an incredible song that was just before we heard God's word. You have no equal, you have no rival. Amazing words about the God that we worship. I don't know what you consider to be your greatest opportunity in life today. Some people think about opportunity and life's wonder and amazement about what could be in different ways. And there are people that have websites for this, people that have blogs for this, people that have books about this. And they don't talk about life's great opportunities. Instead, they talk about life's bucket lists. And there's a website by, I think she's from California. Anyone here from California? Alison's not. The Californian culture is I don't know. Anyway, this is what you know it. And I love people from California. If you're watching online, we don't get anyone from California. But this is what it says about a bucket list. This person put together 1,000 plus on her bucket list. 1,000 plus things to do on your bucket list. And some of them I think are really great, and some of them are pretty awful, quite frankly. So I didn't agree with, and I didn't go through all 1,000 of them. But she writes, it started in 2006, and it's a never-ending work in progress. Oh, it's hard to live in California with a bucket list. Continuously being altered, updated, contemplated and rejuvenated, much like myself. This is her writing. This is not me. Let's just get that really clear. Yes, I know the bucket list is really, really big. Yes, I do think that I can check off everything on it, that positive attitude. Anything is possible in my mind, is what she writes. It is my hope that you, the members of Shirley Baptist Church, she doesn't write that, I put that in brackets, can check everything on it. Anything is possible, and the examples and ideas I have are inspiration, and to create your own cool and adventurous life list. And then you take at least one step every day to complete the items on it. The bucket list has completely changed my life, and I wish the same for you, of course. So let's have a look at some of her bucket lists. Right, the first is about adventure. She says to grab life's great opportunities, you need to ride a zip line. Anyone done that? Brilliant. Anyone eaten fire? Alan, have you eaten fire? This is brilliant. We're going to have a sharing and caring time this morning. Anyone got a tattoo? Naughty people. We should all get a tattoo one day, perhaps. Go, and had to write this carefully, fat biking. Anyone know what that is? Fat people cycling, no? Fat wheels, apparently. Anyway, kite surfing or snowboarding, love it. Some of the things to grab life's greatest opportunities. That's adventure. She categorizes these things. The next one is creation. Chase a tornado. I'd quite like to do that. Holding Hannah's hand as we gracefully go. Let's chase a tornado. Feed a crocodile. Ooh. Roll in a huge pile of leaves. Who's done that? Yeah. Anyone had dog muck on it at the same time? Swim with sea turtles. I like this one. Sleep in an igloo and see the northern lights. I'd love to do that. Could you just... No. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Anyway. What about... this one's about relationships, the category of relationships. To grab life's opportunities. Meet a world leader. Pretty cool that would be. Receive a fan letter. Sorry, that's so Californian, isn't it? Spend time with a person from another generation. You could do that this morning. Don't let the kids come back in. Why don't we all go out to see the kids? Oh, that's an idea. Tell someone you love them. Yeah. Anyone ever heard, Sophie Howarth, who is a BBC News reader, spoke words from George Alagiah, who wrote words before he died of cancer. And he said to people, via Sophie, his co-lead on BBC News, make sure before you die, you tell someone you love them. Forgive someone. This is not a person who's a Christian. Interesting. Then the last category is creativity. This really, I could do quite the other lot. I could eat fire. I could wrestle with a crocodile, was that one? I could sleep in an igloo. I could do all those sorts of things. I'd love it. What I can't do is go to Hobbycraft in Solihull. That's just that freaks me out. I can't do it. So complete a cross-stitch piece. No, thank you. Create a... Wonderful. Put your hand up if you're part of the flower arranging or flower ringing group. There are a few people here in the church. You are God's gift. What a great thing to do. Make a scrapbook. Take an arts class. Write a song. All these just bring perhaps joy or trepidation to us. But really, life's great opportunity is not about any of those, although we may want to post them on Facebook or Instagram or tell people about them. But actually, the reading this morning is about life's great opportunity, being a follower of Jesus. Don't know whether Jesus was good at cross-stitch. The whole thing about fire, I think he could control. Carpenter, so he'd be pretty good in the craft realm of things. I think Jesus was quite adventurous. He pushed boundaries all the time with people and tradition. Quite a dangerous figure, Jesus. So to follow this Jesus, that is not on her 1,000 plus items. You won't see it on her website. But this morning I want to just very briefly open up a window in what it might mean to grab life's greatest opportunity. And the first is that some people think to grab life's greatest opportunity and to follow Jesus is to find more and more information about Jesus. I need to know about Jesus. That's how I grab life's greatest opportunity, to know more. I don't know whether you remember sort of COVID times and Zoom meetings. Oh, the background to people's Zoom. Hilarious. And I kind of had lots of meetings with other ministers, and did my head in. You had ministers, so many ministers, with loads of books on the background. Look how much I've read. But people think to follow Jesus well, you need to read more and more about Jesus. And actually, I think there's a lot of truth about that. To search for the historical Jesus is absolutely crucial, and I think enriches our walk in following Jesus. But more information about Jesus doesn't necessarily change our character in following Jesus. You know, apparently in the UK, the two sections in the library where books go missing most are the law section and the theology section. Oh, that's hilarious if you think about it. People who are trying to talk to us about keeping the law and people who are talking to us about God, they nick library books. It's not about getting more and more information unless more and more information changes character. So grabbing life's great opportunity and following Jesus isn't just simply more information. I mean, I love this. This book titled Everybody is Wrong But Me, A Beginner's Guide to Arguing Theology on the Internet. Oh, dear. Also, the way of inspiration. Some people think that to grab life's great opportunity and follow Jesus is to be inspired always, to have the mountaintop experience always, to be on a spiritual high always. Well, when we have a spirituality of grabbing life's greatest opportunities in following Jesus by searching for always being in a place of, I don't know, happiness, I don't think that's real. And there are some church communities that seek that spiritual high the whole time. But I don't see that in the way in which Jesus operated. Yes, He went on mountainsides. Yes, there was a moment of transfiguration and two other disciples saw. Yes, Jesus was in those moments, of course. But Jesus was in the moments where there was sweat that dropped like blood. And he was on his knees in the garden, and life wasn't rosy. And there was desperation. Following Jesus isn't about gaining more information, and following Jesus isn't about continually being inspired. No, following Jesus is the way of interaction. And this is actually the hardest way, but the way that is clearly the way that Peter experienced. Peter the fisherman, Peter the one on whom Jesus said, "You are the rock, and I will build my church upon." Peter the one who slashed the soldier's ear in the Garden of Gethsemane. Peter the one who denied Jesus. Peter who said to Jesus, "Don't just wash my feet, but my whole body as well." Peter who is passionate, outgoing, probably a bit of an extrovert, probably didn't read too much. Peter was in the boat. And with this picture of him grabbing life's great opportunity, he knew the waves, he knew the currents, he knew the sea well, having been a fisherman. And when he's in the boat and the storm rages, faith is in the balance. Don't know whether your faith has ever been in the balance. He says, "Tell me to come to you on the water." There is no way in which that 1,000+ list of great things to do on her bucket list is, I'm going to walk on water. I might eat fire, but never put on my bucket list about walking on water. And here's Peter seeing Jesus, who he thought was a ghost, and seeking to recognize Jesus, the one who is the Lord of all creation. He's the master of the waves of the sea and the wonder of the sky, and he is the Lord over all creation. And here is Jesus, having just fed 5,000+ people, the miracle of wonder and amazement, and the disciples seeing this, an incredible moment. Another miracle emerges of Jesus looking like a ghost, walking on the water, and Peter going, "Is that really you?" This is the moment of interaction. And Peter says to Jesus, "Tell me to come into the water." And Jesus says, "Come." And he gets out of the boat and he starts to walk. I'm not sure whose legs these are. But he gets out and starts to walk on the water. And then you know what happened. The sinking. The wind got stronger and stronger. Faith perhaps got less and less. And suddenly, Peter starts to sink. That sinking feeling. Anyone had a sinking feeling? For me, Peter is someone who shows us what discipleship is all about. What happens when our faith in Jesus starts to sink? How is your interaction with Jesus today? What are you most fearful of? Peter was fearful, even though he knew the currents and the waves well, but perhaps not the wind. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" This moment of a sinking faith. I think, is a window into true discipleship. That might seem a really weird thing to say. But let me just describe a couple of things. I was in the dentist's chair on Thursday. Who doesn't hate the dentist? Any dentists in here? It's not easy, but my dentist is lovely. I have 2 dentists. Wow. One who's my normal dentist and then one who's a hygienist, but we won't go there. But Dr. Patawala and Susan. I call him Dr. Patawala and my hygienist Susan. Don't ask me why. Both are chatterboxes. And the worst place to have a conversation is when you've got stuff in your mouth. And they know my family and we talk, and basically it's the same conversation at 2 different points. But both were the same on Thursday, and they were both sharing with me how they are pained, and I was thinking I'm pained here, about the state of the world today. It was an existential, philosophical, religious, if you like, conversation about Gaza and Israel, about Ukraine and about the economic situation. And I felt like I was trying to do a bit of pastoral counselling whilst I had this metal in my mouth. Oh, yeah, I agree. What do you do? But what they were sharing and what we share with one another, I don't know about you, but I struggle to read the news. I have a sinking feeling. Where is God in all of this? It's maybe not the wind crashing against the waves and the boat rocking, but it may be the headline that rocks that day. The situation in Gaza and the hospital I can barely understand. What happens to my faith in all of that? And that's not the central bit. Of course it's not. It's the need of others. But faith, where does it go with all of this? The sinking nature of faith in the divisions of our world, where there are ever polarized views about this, that, and the other. Our own denomination is struggling with all of that. A sinking feeling through the pain of loss, and we've experienced tragic loss this week in Girls' Brigade, but there are others in the church who are also going through loss. What happens to our faith in moments like that? And seeking God when it seems that everything around us is sinking through life's personal challenges of financial struggle, of work stress, of parental stress, of relational issues with friends, or working out who are my friends. That sinking feeling resonates with us all. And that's why Peter resonates with us. In that moment, Jesus doesn't rebuke him saying, "You have little faith." He loves him by saying, "I'm grabbing your hand." To be a follower of Jesus is life's greatest opportunity because Jesus grabs your hand. To the hostages in the hospital in Gaza, in life and death, Jesus grabs their hand. To a Baptist denomination in, if you don't know about it, which is going through some stuff, I think Jesus is seeking to hold on to us. To a community of faith, of different expressions and different journeys of faith, Jesus is holding out for you right now.